Are you playing too small? What if I told you the biggest thing holding you back isn't your skills, money, or connections, but your mindset? Think about this. In the early 90s, Jeff Bezos had a comfortable Wall Street job. Most people in his position would have stayed in their lane, climbed the corporate ladder, and settled for success. But Bezos thought bigger. Instead of asking, "How can I make a good salary?" he asked, "How can I build something that changes the world?" That mindset shift led to Amazon, the company that revolutionized the way we shop, read, and even stream content. And here's the truth. The only difference between people who stay small and those who achieve massive success is how they think. In this video, I'll break down how you can train yourself to think bigger, take bolder actions, and unlock opportunities you never imagined. If you've ever felt stuck, held back, or unsure of what's possible for you, this is for you. And let's dive in. Most people don't realize it, but the way you think determines the ceiling of your success. Thinking small is like living in a box. You can only move within the walls you've created for yourself. When you think small, you focus on what's safe, comfortable, and immediately achievable. But the problem is, playing it safe often means playing it stuck. When you limit your vision, you limit your opportunities. You may find yourself saying things like, "I'll just settle for this job because it pays the bills," instead of, "How can I create a career I truly love?" You might avoid launching a business idea because you're afraid of what people will say, rather than thinking, "What if this idea could change my life?" Thinking small keeps you trapped in a cycle of mediocrity because you never allow yourself to consider what's beyond your current situation. Even worse, small thinking creates fear-based decisions. When your mind is focused on limitations, you naturally avoid risks, fearing failure more than you desire success. You tell yourself, "I don't have enough experience, so I shouldn't apply for that promotion." You hesitate to invest in yourself because you're afraid of wasting money. You pass up big opportunities because you convince yourself you're not ready. The irony, you're never truly ready until you take the leap. If you only make decisions based on what's comfortable, you'll never grow beyond where you are today. Now, let's flip the script. What happens when you start thinking bigger? The moment you allow yourself to dream beyond your current reality, you open doors that you didn't even know existed. Thinking bigger forces you to look at life from a broader perspective. Instead of asking, "What's the safest route?" you start asking, "What's truly possible?" Instead of focusing on problems, you train your brain to look for solutions. When you expand your thinking, you start seeing beyond immediate limitations. You stop making excuses like, "I don't have the resources," and start asking, "How can I find the resources?" You stop saying, "I'm not qualified," and start thinking, "What skills do I need to get there?" The key difference between small thinkers and big thinkers isn't intelligence or talent. It's the willingness to believe in bigger possibilities. And here's the most powerful part. When you start thinking bigger, you attract bigger opportunities and people into your life. Have you ever noticed that successful people tend to surround themselves with other successful, high-achieving individuals? That's not by accident. When you set your sights on bigger goals, you naturally start connecting with mentors, business partners, and like-minded individuals who help you level up. The people around you influence your mindset more than you think. So when you think bigger, you start aligning with people who challenge and inspire you to grow. Let's take a real-world example of someone who mastered the art of thinking big, Jeff Bezos. Back in 1994, Bezos had a comfortable, well-paying job on Wall Street. He was making six figures, living a life that most people would consider highly successful. But Bezos wasn't thinking about playing it safe. He was thinking about what could be. He saw an opportunity in the emerging internet economy and started asking himself a bigger question. What kind of business could I build that takes full advantage of this massive shift? After brainstorming different ideas, he landed on selling books online. Now, most people in his position would have thought, "That's a nice side project." But Bezos didn't just want to sell books. He thought bigger. He envisioned Amazon as the everything store, a company that would revolutionize how people shop. At the time, people told him he was crazy. The internet was still new, and the idea of online shopping seemed risky. But because he was thinking beyond short-term profits and short-term fears, he made bold decisions that paved the way for Amazon to become one of the largest companies in the world. Imagine if Bezos had thought small. Imagine if he had settled for just being a really successful bookstore. Instead, his mindset led him to build a global empire that changed the way the world does business. And here's the takeaway. Thinking big doesn't mean you have to start with big resources. It means starting with a big vision. Bezos started in his garage with a small team and a big dream. He was willing to take risks, embrace failure, and bet on the idea that thinking bigger leads to bigger results. The lesson here is simple. Your thoughts shape your reality. If you think small, you'll stay small. If you think big, you'll open doors you never even knew were possible. The choice is yours. Are you going to stay in your comfort zone, or are you going to expand your thinking and create something extraordinary? Now that we understand why thinking bigger matters, let's talk about the barriers that hold most people back. If thinking big were easy, everyone would do it. But the reality is, most people stay stuck in small thinking because of fear, self-doubt, comfort, and negative influences. The good news? Once you recognize these barriers, you can break free from them and start shifting your mindset to one of abundance and possibility. One of the biggest reasons people don't think bigger is fear of failure. It's that little voice in your head whispering, "What if I try and it doesn't work? What if I put myself out there and fail in front of everyone?" This fear keeps people paralyzed, afraid to take action because they don't want to experience embarrassment, rejection, or loss. But here's the truth. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the journey to success. Every successful entrepreneur, leader, and innovator has failed, often multiple times before achieving greatness. Steve Jobs was fired from Apple before returning to make it one of the biggest companies in the world. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television before becoming a media mogul. Elon Musk had multiple companies on the brink of bankruptcy before Tesla and SpaceX became industry leaders. The difference between successful people and those who stay stuck is simple. Successful people don't let failure stop them. They use it as feedback. Think about it. When a scientist runs an experiment and it doesn't work, they don't say, "Well, I guess I'm just not cut out for this." They look at what went wrong, make adjustments, and try again. That's exactly how you should approach failure in life and business. Instead of fearing it, embrace it as a learning opportunity. Ask yourself, what did I learn from this? How can I adjust and improve? Once you shift your mindset to see failure as a stepping stone rather than a dead end, you'll start taking bigger risks, and those risks will lead to bigger rewards. Another major barrier to thinking big is imposter syndrome. That nagging feeling that you're not smart enough, experienced enough, or talented enough to achieve big things. You might look at successful people and assume they have some secret advantage you don't. The reality? Almost everyone experiences imposter syndrome at some point, including some of the most successful people in the world. Even Albert Einstein once admitted that he felt like a fraud, believing people had overestimated his intelligence. Maya Angelou, despite writing multiple best-selling books, said she often feared people would find out she wasn't as talented as they thought. Imposter syndrome isn't a reflection of your actual abilities. It's a mental trick that makes you doubt yourself. The key to overcoming imposter syndrome is recognizing that nobody starts as an expert. Every successful person was once a beginner. The difference is they didn't let their self-doubt stop them from taking action. Instead of asking, "Am I good enough?" ask yourself, "How can I become good enough?" Skill, confidence, and expertise aren't things you're born with. They're things you develop through experience. If you struggle with imposter syndrome, remind yourself that you belong in any room you walk into. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to be willing to learn, adapt, and take action. The only way to grow past self-doubt is to step forward in spite of it. Your comfort zone is one of the most dangerous places to stay if you want to achieve big things. It feels safe and familiar, but the problem is, nothing grows there. If you only do what's comfortable, you'll never stretch yourself to see what you're truly capable of. Think about it. Every major breakthrough in history happened because someone was willing to leave their comfort zone. The Wright brothers didn't know if humans could actually fly, but they kept testing until they figured it out. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. These people didn't let comfort dictate their decisions. They pushed beyond what felt safe and discovered what was possible. The comfort zone trap keeps so many people stuck in jobs they hate, relationships that no longer serve them, and routines that don't challenge them. It's easy to stay in a situation that feels familiar, but if you never step outside of your comfort zone, you'll never discover what's waiting for you on the other side. So, how do you break out of this trap? Start taking small, uncomfortable actions every day. If public speaking scares you, take a speaking course. If launching a business feels overwhelming, start with a small side hustle. The more you step outside your comfort zone, the more comfortable you become with growth. And eventually, thinking big becomes your new normal. Your environment has a massive impact on how you think. If you're constantly surrounded by small thinkers, people who doubt themselves, or those who criticize every big idea, their mindset will rub off on you. Take a moment to think about the people you spend the most time with. Are they pushing you to dream bigger, challenge yourself, and go after your goals? Or are they constantly talking about why things won't work, why it's too risky, or why someone like you can't succeed? The truth is, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you surround yourself with people who think small, you'll subconsciously start thinking small too. But if you spend time around ambitious, forward-thinking individuals, you'll naturally start raising your own expectations. This doesn't mean you have to cut people out of your life completely, but you do need to be mindful of who influences you. Seek out people who inspire and challenge you. Find mentors, join communities of big thinkers, and consume content that expands your perspective. Your mindset is like a sponge. It absorbs what's around it. If you want to think bigger, you need to surround yourself with people who do the same. Thinking big is not just about having a vision. It's about overcoming the mental barriers that hold you back. Fear of failure, imposter syndrome, staying in your comfort zone, and surrounding yourself with small thinkers will all keep you stuck unless you actively break free from them. The good news? You have the power to shift your mindset. You can start seeing failure as feedback, pushing through self-doubt, stepping outside your comfort zone, and surrounding yourself with people who elevate you. The moment you start breaking these barriers, your world expands, your confidence grows, and opportunities start appearing where you never saw them before. Now that we've tackled the barriers that hold us back, let's dive into the practical steps to train your brain to think bigger. The good news is, big thinking isn't something you're born with. It's a skill you can develop. By shifting the way you ask questions, surrounding yourself with the right people, changing how you view failure, setting massive goals, and taking action, you can rewire your mindset for success. Here's how. 1. Ask bigger questions. Your brain is like a supercomputer, constantly searching for answers to the questions you ask it. If you ask small, limited questions, you'll get small, limited answers. If you ask bold, expansive questions, you'll unlock new possibilities. For example, many people ask themselves, how can I make an extra $1,000? This question immediately limits the brain's thinking to small, incremental solutions. Cutting expenses, picking up extra hours at work, or doing something that requires more effort for only a little more money. Instead, a big thinker asks, how can I 10x my income? Suddenly, the brain starts considering scalable, creative solutions, starting a business, investing, developing a high-income skill, or creating something that generates passive income. The same principle applies to career growth. A small thinker asks, how can I get a raise? Which keeps them focused on impressing a boss and waiting for permission to earn more. But a big thinker asks, how can I create a job I love? This question opens the mind to new paths, building a business, switching industries, developing expertise that makes them highly valuable, or even negotiating a new position with a company that aligns with their passion. Your life will only be as big as the questions you ask. Instead of asking, what's the safest path? Ask, what's the most exciting and impactful path? Instead of wondering, how can I get through this challenge? Ask, how can I use this challenge to transform my life? If you want to train your brain to think bigger, start by upgrading the questions you ask yourself every day. 2. Surround yourself with big thinkers. There's a famous saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This is one of the most powerful truths about personal growth. The people around you shape your beliefs, your ambitions, and even your idea of what's possible. If you're surrounded by small thinkers, people who complain, doubt themselves, and never push for more, you will naturally start thinking small too. But if you surround yourself with big thinkers, entrepreneurs, innovators, and ambitious individuals, you'll start expanding your vision. So how do you do this? Start by finding mentors who have already achieved what you want. This doesn't necessarily mean personal mentors. It can be through books, podcasts, courses, and online communities. If you want to think like a billionaire, study how billionaires think. If you want to break into a high-level career, connect with people in that field and learn from them. Another powerful step is joining mastermind groups or communities of ambitious individuals. Whether it's an entrepreneurial meetup, a book club focused on personal growth, or an online forum for high achievers, surrounding yourself with people who challenge and inspire you is one of the fastest ways to upgrade your mindset. The bottom line, your environment influences your thinking. If you want to think bigger, put yourself in rooms where big thinking is the norm. 3. Reframe failure as a stepping stone. Most people fear failure because they see it as an end result, proof that they weren't good enough. But big thinkers see failure as a necessary step towards success. Take Steve Jobs. He was fired from the very company he started, Apple. Most people would have seen that as a career-ending failure, but Jobs used it as fuel to innovate, eventually coming back to lead Apple into one of the most successful companies of all time. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers before someone finally took a chance on Harry Potter. Had she given up after the first rejection, millions of people would have never experienced her books. The key to thinking bigger is understanding that failure is just feedback. It's not a reflection of your worth or ability. It's information. Instead of saying, "I failed, so I'm not capable," say, "I failed, so now I know what doesn't work." Big thinkers fail fast, learn fast, and grow fast. They don't dwell on mistakes. They extract the lesson, adjust their approach, and keep going. The faster you embrace failure, the faster you'll move towards success. So, the next time you're afraid to take a risk, remind yourself, failure isn't final. It's a stepping stone. 4. Visualize and set massive goals. One of the most powerful ways to train your brain to think bigger is by setting massive, ambitious goals. Think about Elon Musk. He didn't set out to improve NASA's rockets. He set out to colonize Mars. That kind of thinking forces innovation, attracts top talent, and creates game-changing results. Most people set tiny, safe goals because they don't want to feel disappointed if they fail. But here's the problem. Small goals don't inspire massive action. When you aim for something huge, it forces you to think differently, work differently, and operate on a higher level. The key is to start with the end goal and reverse engineer the steps to get there. If your goal is to become financially free, ask yourself, what skills, knowledge, and actions will get me there? If your goal is to launch $1 million business, map out the specific, measurable steps you need to take to reach that point. Your brain is wired to seek what you focus on. The bigger you set your goals, the bigger your mindset will become. 5. Take action, even if it's small. Dreaming is great, but action is what turns dreams into reality. You can read all the books, attend all the seminars, and think all the big thoughts. But if you don't take action, nothing will change. The biggest mistake people make is waiting until they feel ready. The truth is, you will never feel 100% ready. The only way to grow into a big thinker is to start taking action before you feel prepared. So ask yourself, what's one bold step I can take today? Maybe it's applying for a job that's outside your comfort zone. Maybe it's launching a side hustle, starting a YouTube channel, reaching out to a mentor, or investing in a course that levels up your skills. Success isn't built overnight. It's built one bold action at a time. The more you take action, the more confident you'll become, and the easier it will be to think bigger in every area of your life. Training your brain to think bigger is a process, but it starts with changing how you think, who you surround yourself with, how you view failure, and how you take action. When you start asking bigger questions, surrounding yourself with big thinkers, embracing failure, setting massive goals, and taking consistent action, you'll notice that your mindset starts shifting. And suddenly, the things you once thought were impossible start feeling within reach. If there's one thing you take away from this video, let it be this. Thinking bigger is not a talent, it's a skill. It's something you can develop, refine, and master over time. No one is born with an extraordinary mindset. The people who accomplish massive things in life, whether in business, sports, science, or the arts, aren't inherently different from you. The difference is that they've trained their minds to see possibility instead of limitation. They've made a conscious choice to think bigger, take bolder risks, and push beyond what's comfortable. Everything we've discussed today, asking bigger questions, surrounding yourself with high-level thinkers, reframing failure as a stepping stone, setting massive goals and taking consistent action, are all tools that can rewire your brain for limitless thinking. If you consistently apply these strategies, your perspective will shift, your confidence will grow, and new opportunities will start appearing that you never thought were possible. But here's the thing. None of this works unless you actually do something about it. Watching a video like this is a great start, but knowledge alone won't change your life. Action is the catalyst for transformation. If you want to think bigger, you have to start making decisions that reflect that mindset. So now, I have a challenge for you. Drop a comment below and share one way you're going to start thinking bigger today. Maybe it's setting a goal so ambitious it scares you. Maybe it's reaching out to a mentor, committing to a new skill, or taking the first step toward a dream you've been putting off. Whatever it is, write it down. Declare it. Because once you commit to thinking bigger, you've already taken the first step toward making it a reality. And if this video helped you in any way, hit that like button, subscribe for more mindset-shifting content, and share this with someone who needs to hear it today. Sometimes all it takes is one shift in perspective to change the entire trajectory of a person's life, and you never know who in your circle needs that spark of inspiration. Thank you for watching, and remember, your thoughts create your reality. So start thinking bigger. See you in the next video.